Yo, what's good, people? Jeff Logan here, BTB Podcast, Becoming a Beast. Let's get it. This podcast has been brought to you by none other than Logan Performance, No Beast Mode, and Become Nutrition. Also the BTB Handbook, which is available in my links. Listen, today is about expectation. I think we've been misguided on expectation, meaning there's that classic quote, expectations lead to disappointments. That's not an expectation. That is wishful thinking. There's a huge difference between wishful thinking, which is something simple, shallow, and non-deep, versus expectation, which is, you'll figure out the difference once I break it down for you. Expectation plays a big part in manifestation, right? It's a double-edged sword because it works both ways, just how manifestation does. So basically, expectation can work in the failure sense and in a success sense. Because if you walk into, like, let's say a job interview and expect to fail, and you do, you just brought that on yourself with that expectation because you expected in the proper way. Your expectation was completely right. Your expectation was completely successful, and it always is. I remember way back when I didn't get into the NFL and I was trying my luck in the job market and my degree was unfinished. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I can just start out and be a gym manager, and then I can, open up chains of gyms. And it was some chain gym in Connecticut where I went to college. I tried out to be a manager because the pay was, it was $35K a year. And I was like, man, I could really use $35K, and it's funny saying that out loud, being a person who $35K is not that much anymore, in comparison to what I'm earning now, and how much emphasis I placed on that $35K. Like, I wanted it. However, I had wishful thinking about that job. I expected not to get it. I expected discrimination. I expected them to think I was underqualified. I expected to walk out of there upset. I even visualized walking out of there upset and not getting it. And what happened? These expectations led to be true. And that's exactly what went down, And now it's funny because, I have gyms in my homes. I've got my own equipment and had gyms, and you know what I mean? And trained clients in gyms, and Los Angeles, rented a space, made it, got my LLC, made a gym, yada, yada, yada. And it's funny that they thought they made me feel like I was inferior, like I wasn't competent enough to manage a gym, not own it, not run it, not do any of the business stuff in it, not even train clients, just manage a gym, manage the memberships, manage the trainers, which in essence, it runs by itself. And I did all that later. But the key takeaway from that is I expected to fail. Therefore I did. So when I think about and talk about success, it's like success is in two different ways. If you see somebody down in the dumps, in the gutter, in the street, broke, that's a success. Why? Because they did all these actions to get them there. All the actions and thoughts and, moves that they made led them into the street, into the gutter, right? The same thing with success. If you see somebody experiencing good business, good body, good this, good that, it's their actions that led there. And it's essentially the expectation that follows the actions, or the expectation that precedes the action, because you're always expecting, right? You're always expecting. When we break down expectations versus wishful thinking, right now you're listening to this. You might be wherever you are, whether you just woke up or whether you're going to bed, yada, 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 midday. You laid down the night previous with the expectation to wake up, and you just let it go. It was so second nature. It was so powerful that you just, boom, I expect to wake up tomorrow. You didn't even think about it. You were like on autopilot, versus the wishful thinking that you label as an expectation. And then when you get let down because you didn't have any action to follow up with that expectation, right? You have these big expectations with little action. It doesn't coincide, right? So our expectations have a huge impact on our lives in our manifestation process. The power of expectation. Expectations are defined as beliefs about the future that influence our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, right? In essence, our expectations shape our reality. How? Through that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Even something as simple as a study. When we go to that placebo effect, right? If you take a group of students and, two groups of students, and you tell one, hey, you guys are gifted, and we're going to put you through a test. Or you tell the other ones, hey, this is going to be a really hard test and not that many people pass it. Be careful, type of thing. But you give them the same simple ass test, that group that you told were gifted is going to perform better. Why? Because they expected to. The group you told and warned, and they accepted these warnings into their mental nightclub, as we call it. Remember in previous podcasts, we said, also, I tell my BTB group that your mind is like a VIP nightclub. And it's like, who are you letting in? And it has to be a certain dress code and a certain standard that you allow in, right? The people in that group that expected the best will perform better every single time. The people that you told, hey, it's going to be like this, they expect it to be bad every single time. What follows after these expectations? All these thoughts. And our thoughts create a reality. So what we want to do is demonstrate positive expectations. Even if we go to athletes, right? Athletes who have high expectations for themselves, they tend to perform better under pressure. That's just how it goes. There's so many stories of people getting told no, but still expecting on a very high level, where they didn't let that no deter them because that no is not in their expectations, right? certain global successes, like example, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, right? So many no's until boom, that one yes happens. But you didn't get stopped at the no because you expect the best for yourself. You say, okay, well, if I'm facing a no, facing a wall, facing an obstacle, facing anything that's not in this definition, in this expectation that I have for myself, I just got to find another route. When you're headed to that restaurant, the GPS tells you, okay, boom, take a left, take a right, take a this. Oh, that street's closed. You turn around and pack it in and say, oh, we're never going to go to that restaurant. No, you find a different way because you're expecting to get there. You're expecting to eat. You're expecting the reviews. You're expecting everything about this experience. You let nothing stop you when it comes to your goals, that one little no, boom. Why? Because you're expecting in the wrong direction. And ultimately placing that high expectation on yourself, you take yourself out of your comfort zone because there's a new standard. That high expectation level sets a standard. So if you're expecting at a high level, but performing at a low level, your expectation was just wishful thinking. So you have to differentiate between the two. Like, is this really my expectation? Is this really my standard of living, my standard of the way I conduct myself? Or is this just simple wishful thinking that I'm doing to make me feel good or to, tell other people? Like, some people get involved in the story. They like the story more than they like the work. They like the, oh yeah, this person told me, oh yeah, I went through this hardship. I went through this. They like that story because it cultivates people feeling sorry for them. Victim mentality. It raises them up, on this pedestal of victimhood. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to you. Oh my gosh. Versus setting because here's the thing, complaints are not on the frequency of expectation. I would say never complain. Never let yourself hear complaints from you. You know what I mean? So with starting Become Nutrition, I set a goal for myself where I expected to make $1 million before I was 30 years old. And I did that. I did all the work that was involved with that. You can't just have an expectation and not do the work in order for it to come true. You have to live up to that expectation, essentially. How do we harness the power of expectation, right? So certain strategies like visualization, seeing it, right, on a regular basis and never losing sight of that vision. Positive affirmations. Obviously, our words are spells. Saying this stuff to ourselves every single day. Again, how does this perfect body get cultivated? How does a perfect dancer move so gracefully? How does the perfect skater, the perfect, BMX rider, the perfect dirt bike rider, the perfect Olympian perform in their Olympic channel? How do they do it to perfection? With practice. So you can't just do positive affirmations for a day, two, half a day. Oh, I did 10 affirmations today. And then, you leave the rest of the month up to life, everything around you to influence you. And you just leave it alone. And, oh, I didn't meet my expectation. No, you had wishful thinking. You didn't put in any of the work to get it done. So like I said, visualization, positive affirmations, goal setting with deadlines, right? I had somebody in my BTB gang. He said, hey man, I'm going to start my book on my birthday this year and I'm giving myself a year to finish it. I said, bro, I love it. You know what I mean? Hard deadlines to make himself perform. An expectation to make himself perform. Also, you have to self-reflect. You got to be mindful, right? You got to become more aware of everything, any limiting belief, any negative expectations that are holding you back. Because remember, everything you think about, you're going to become this. Every person you hang around, you're going to become them. Every person you follow, you're going to become that. Every video you watch, you're going to become that. Because you want to talk about environment. The place you live in is almost irrelevant. Because if you live in this peaceful place that's in the middle of nowhere and everything's great, but you're watching negative news, you're watching, street fights and murders every day on your phone, that positive place of peace is going to be irrelevant to as far as like what's going on in your mental realm. You know what I mean? Your mental environment. So every environment that you're in matters, and your mental environment matters most. It matters almost more than your physical, because that physical is going to be a representation of it. However, your mental environment, you can't escape that. That's where you live every single day. So I had the BTB squad create a vision board. That was one of the first things we did. That was like earlier this year, like / late last year, we all created vision boards and everybody presented it to the squad. And it keeps everything in mind. It keeps, like, again, if you expect the things on that vision board to come true, come on now, why would any actions not be on the same frequency as anything on that vision board? So now this is when you take inventory and say, okay, what actions, where are my negative expectations? And that vision board is just pretty much a tracker to track progress over time. It's important to understand and leverage the power of expectation to create a more fulfilling and successful life. And think about when you're taking inventory, am I expecting positive or am I expecting negative? And then am I living up to these expectations with my thoughts, cool, but also with my actions, my thought in motion? Does this add up? Is this on the same frequency as this expectation? If it's not, get rid of it. So I encourage you today, Becoming the Beast Squad, Becoming the Beast podcast gang, right? To take actions by setting high but achievable expectations for yourself. So anything in life is achievable. Now, knowing that, right, you can take small steps towards this achievable expectation. So you really have to embrace your potential to grow and transform, right? Because if you positively expect in everything that you do, I mean, I'm talking about each segment of your life. I expect this workout to go well. I expect this talking to go well. We're not talking about putting wishful thinking upon other people or wishful thinking on situations that you can't control. That's insanity. So the big thing I'm getting at is expectation shapes our reality. So expecting puts you in a receptive mode. It puts you in a receptive mode. Are you going to receive something positive or are you going to receive something negative, right? And you can't receive unless your hands are open, unless you're, again, in this receptive mode. And when you expect, when you expect negative, like if everybody around you's sick, right, in the house, and you say, I'm expecting to get sick. You just open your hands up and say, hey, I want to catch this sickness. You put your hands up like you're catching a football. Hey, where's the sickness at? Where is it? I'm looking for it. I expect this. And then you start to envision yourself with the symptoms and everything. And then what happens? You quote unquote catch it. You see what I'm saying? You catch the sickness. Why? Because your hands were open expecting it. You caught the cold, right? Or think about your spouse or whoever you're dating, right? The catch. He's the catch. She's the catch. Why? Because you were open, receptive, hands out, ready to catch this thing, right? Oh, this dude catches good luck all the time. Oh, he caught a break. Why? Receptive, hands open. So what are you receptive to and towards with your expectation? So think about the successes in your life. I'm talking about the positive ones and the negative ones. When you expected something negative to happen and it happened, that is success. It's not desirable. It's not what you wanted, but it is a form of success. You thought something, your actions coincided with it, you prepared and readied yourself to receive the negativity, and then you received it. That is a success formula. That is manifestation in a nutshell. So now you just have to differentiate between what you desire and what you don't desire, because the universe is going to conspire to give you exactly what you want. And in essence, you didn't know that you were asking for that negative thing to happen with your expectation, right? I'm going to leave you with this. It's our choices that show us what we truly are, far more than our abilities. So what are you going to choose to expect? Much love, becoming the beast.